Trentham and Josef Gunther, Shadows of 7-7. Europe, Spring-Summer 2005. The borders were wide open. The European Union's freedom of movement had made travel easy. For most, it was a blessing. For a small but dangerous network of extremists, it was a gift. Trentham, the tough ex-sergeant major turned private detective, had been tracking whispers of weapons smuggling from the Balkans into Western Europe for months. Josef Gunther, the hard German with a stone moral compass and a past that included both sides of the wall, had been following similar leads from Berlin. Their paths crossed in Brussels in April 2005. The first cell. A tip from an old military contact brought Nathan to a dingy apartment in Molenbeek. Josef arrived the same night from a lead in Hamburg. They met in a small cafe near the canal. "You're the American who doesn't play by rules," Gunther said, sizing him up. "You're the German who does what's necessary," Nathan replied. "We're going to need both tonight." They hit the apartment together. The cell was small, 3 men, mostly young, with ties to radical mosques and online forums. They found maps of London transit systems, several kilos of fertilizer and basic timers. It was enough to cause real damage. The raid was clean. 2 were arrested, 1 escaped. Gunther looked at the evidence. "This is just one cell. There are more. The borders make it too easy." Nathan nodded. "Then we keep hunting." The network. Over the next 3 months, they chased leads across Europe. In France, they found a cache in a Paris suburb, guns hidden in a halal butcher shop. In Germany, a warehouse in Duisburg held bomb-making materials and fake passports. In Belgium, they disrupted a cell in Antwerp that was planning attacks on Jewish targets and trains. In Holland, a safe house in Rotterdam was raided after they followed a courier from Germany. Each time, they found connections, phone numbers, emails, money transfers, leading back to a loose network inspired by Al-Qaeda ideology, but operating independently. They were using the open borders to move people, money, and materials freely. Nathan and Gunther became a reluctant team. Nathan's street smarts and willingness to bend rules complemented Gunther's discipline and deep knowledge of European intelligence networks. One night in a safe house in Brussels, they argued over strategy. "We need to go public with what we have," Gunther said. "Warn the authorities." Nathan shook his head. "They won't listen. They're too busy playing politics. We keep hitting them quietly until we can hand over something they can't ignore." Gunther stared at him. "You sound like a man who has seen too many ignored warnings." "I have," Nathan replied, "and I'm tired of it." The London warning. By early July, they had mapped a significant part of the network. They delivered a detailed dossier to trusted contacts in British intelligence, names, locations, planned targets including the London Underground. The response was polite but dismissive. "We're monitoring the situation." On July 7, 2005, the London bombings happened. Nathan and Gunther were in Brussels when the news broke. They sat in silence for a long time. "We stopped some of it," Gunther said finally. "We stopped much more than they know." Nathan stared at the television. It wasn't enough. Aftermath. In the weeks that followed, several more cells were rolled up thanks to the intelligence they had gathered. Some of the worst planners were arrested. A few more dangerous plots were prevented. But the world moved on. The politicians made speeches. The intelligence agencies claimed they were reviewing procedures. Trentham and Josef Gunther met one last time in a quiet bar in London. Gunther raised his glass. "We did what we could." Nathan clinked his glass. "And we'll keep doing it, because no one else will." The 2 old warriors went their separate ways, one back to Boston, the other to Berlin. The war on terror continued. And somewhere in Europe, new shadows were already forming. But 2 men who refused to look the other way were still watching.